Hey there, good afternoon, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am the host of this show, a show that's dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. I'm just going to bring the screen down slightly. So there we go. So today we're doing a look back at a classic rock album. This is my Monday night show that I do every Monday. I've been so pumped to do this show this week because of the album I've chosen. I love this album. It may be my favorite album that I've bought since I started this show. Just top of the line. The side one is probably a perfect album side. Such good music, and I can almost kick myself. Well, first I guess I should show you this album, Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult. Fantastic album. And I kind of kick myself because I bought the Fire of Unknown Origin album when it came out. I think it was back in 1982, and I liked it quite a bit. So, one side of that album I listened to a lot, and of course one of the songs, Veteran of 1,000 Psychic Wars, was in the movie Heavy Metal, which I also liked a lot. And I just really liked the album a lot. It wasn't a master album, but it was pretty solid album. And even I found out later that they were the ones who produced that song Don't Fear the Reaper, which I also liked. So there was every indication that this group should blow up with me and become one of my favorite bands, and I just didn't pursue it. I don't know why. I never bought anything else from them. I never went looking. I'm not even sure why I did that. I think I'm beginning to discover that when I was younger, and I've been thinking about this. When I was younger, I only wanted to listen to stuff that was on the radio regularly and was considered a major force band. That's what I think. So if you weren't a band that everybody considered a major force, then I kind of shied away from you. And that's the only thing that I can think of that would keep me from listening to these guys, because this album is a masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece in the sense that it has that official title with me, but it's destined to be there. There's no way it can fail. In fact, it's such a good album that I can see it getting into my top 10 albums of all time and staying there. I haven't had an album do that since probably 2006, when I bought and was playing Songs from the Wood all the time. That album cracked my top 10. And no other album has gotten in there since that time period. So it's been about 16 years. But this one I'm pretty sure is going to make there. Just so good. Okay, so I've loaded this up for bear, and I've loaded this album. It's so good. Some of the things on it that make it so good is the vocals are really good. And Eric Bloom is at his best, I think, on this album. He's a real good singer anyways, but he's really top notch on this album, and he does most of the tracks on this album. This band is a bit unusual. All 5 guys sing in it. Not on every album, but on this album there's three different guys singing, and I believe there's 3 of them. Yeah, Eric and Albert sing, I think. No, I'm wrong. It's just Eric and Albert. They're the only 2 that sing lead parts in this album. But for the most part, Blue Oyster Cult, all 5 of them sing. And all of the lyrics are really cool. All the lyrics draw me in with their little stories, and they're written primarily by Sandy Pearlman and Mesner. I can't think of his last name. Anyways, most of the stuff's written by Pearlman, and then he writes a lot, and then there's one by Patti Smith as well. So really good writing. The guitar this may be Buck Dharma's best album for guitar solos. Really good. Some really good leading guitar bits. Some really good rhythm guitar on here. Some excellent soloing. And there's a couple of twin guitar things too, really good. Just fantastic guitar on here too. There's a couple of keyboards that aren't too bad as well. And of course, Al Bouchard is a pretty good drummer. Ironically, the best track for his drum part is one of the outtakes. That's the other thing about this album. So you've got 8 tracks that come with this album. And the outtakes, there's like 3 outtakes of songs that didn't quite make the album. Those 3 songs are bombast. I love them all. Okay, so enough of that hoopla. Let's get into the album. Okay, so I'll give you the vitals on it first. First, it was released April of 1974 from the Columbia 30th Street Studio in New York City. The length is about 38 minutes, a little bit more, from the Columbia label, of course, and produced by Murray Krugman, or Krugman if you prefer, and Sandy Pearlman, a longtime producer for these guys. The band members, Eric Bloom, he's the main vocalist on this particular album anyways. The main vocalist. He plays rhythm guitar and keyboard, so he does mostly vocals, but he does do some rhythm guitar. He does do some keyboards on the album. Then you have Buck Dharma, or Donald Buck Dharma, Rosier. He's the lead guitar player. Underrated so far as I'm concerned. Alan Lanier is keyboards, rhythm guitar, synthesizers, and he does do a second lead guitar on that 11th track, which is one of the outtakes. In fact, yeah, I think it's the last outtake. Yeah. You got Joe Bouchard on bass and vocals. Joe's a very good bass player too. And the rhythm section, which is Joe Bouchard and Albert Bouchard, who plays the drums, are like, the melodies on this album are as good as any album I've heard. That's one of the strong suits of this album, is the melodies, and these two guys are just holding it together like perfectly throughout most of the songs on this album. Okay, so there you go. So you have your Blue Oyster Cult, Eric Bloom, Buck Dharma, Al Bouchard, Joe Bouchard, and Alan Lanier. Okay, so just super group. Okay, so the songs on here, I'm just going to take this out of the way so I can read my notes as we go. So the songs on here, there's 8 tracks, and then there's 3 outtakes, and then there's 2 added songs to it. The 2 added songs, Born to Be Wild is a cover of that Steppenwolf song. It's, I don't think it fits in here. I mean, it's not bad. I just think that it doesn't add to the album at all. I wouldn't have put it on. And then the singles version for Career of Evil, which is my favorite song on the album, is pretty good, pretty solid. Okay, and then the other 3 outtakes, Borman the Chauffeur. Love that track. It's so cool, just so cool. I just love it. Mommy, which is currently one of my favorite songs on the album. Yeah, I know I'm a little bit twisted, but anyways. And then Mrs. Deems, sorry, that song is the one song that I can see why it didn't end up on the album. Okay, so we'll talk about the main tracks on the album. And incidentally, I normally star my songs when I'm doing it, so I know which ones are the ones that I like the most. And most albums, you get a couple of 3 stars, maybe a 2. Maybe a 1, and then most of the songs don't even have a star because they're pretty much unmemorable for some reason or another, or I don't think they're that great. This one, the worst song on this album, has a 2-star. And it's mostly 3s and 4s. And it's just so good. Okay, so we start with the song, the opening, Career of Evil. Fantastic track. I'm getting a little bit of haze here, so I'm going to move this down just slightly. Okay, that's better. Yeah, much better. I think it was just a funny angle. Okay, so Career of Evil. To me, this is the top track on this album. You've got Eric and Albert both doing vocals here. Lead vocals, that is. The lyrics are great. I love the lyrics on this song. The melody is fantastic. And of course, the vocals are both really great. So this is probably my favorite track on the album. Then they go right into Subhuman, which is, arguably in the top 2 or 3 tracks on this album. Another 4-star track here. Another great melody. The drums and guitar riff are great on this particular track. This is Eric singing, so vocals are fantastic on this. There's a super good guitar solo in the middle of the song. I love the bass and backing vocals and guitar riffing for this particular song. Great. Okay, then you get to the kind of comedical song, which is dominance and submission. So you have Albert doing the main vocals here. I assume a bunch of them are doing the kind of backing vocals. So you got a part in the song where he's singing submission and they're singing dominant. They just keep repeating dominant, dominant, and he just keeps repeating submission, and you can hear him like stressing out over it. It's hilarious. I love it. Great lyric. Great guitar riffing on the song as well. Some fantastic guitar soloing, and the vocals in the chorus with that part are just like so memorable, so good, so really good. Then we move to the final track on this album, which is a 3-star final track on this side. If we were doing albums, it would be on a side. This would be side 1, which would be a perfect side, but it's only the 4th track on the CD. So pretty heavy keys and guitars right at the start. Great melody, another great song with great melody, great guitar feed, like the leading into other stuff. Love that war siren that they use at the end, so good. And this song's called Messerschmitt 262, which is about the plane on this cover of the album. I'll try to get it so you can see it. Yeah, like a great tune, fantastic. So then, if we were doing an album, this would be the 2nd side, but it's the 5th track on the disc. So it's called Cagey Cretins. Eric, Albert, and Joe do the lead on this. Pretty much Eric is the main guy, but the other two do quite a bit here too. Some more great lyrics, it's fantastic lyrics. The vocals are shared well, like everything fits well together. The melody again is very strong. Another kick-ass solo here by Buck Dharma. I don't know how many that is. I think just about every song he's done a kick-ass solo on. He's just so good in this today. Then we get to the next song on the album, which is another 3-star. This is Harvest of Eyes. Kind of a heavy bass melody at the beginning of the song. What did I write there? I don't even know what that says. Maybe it'll come to me. Oh yeah, it has a very melodic bass and drum part in it. And so I'm getting that kind of shiny part too to the album. I'm just trying to avoid that. Just might be just the angle of the sun at this moment in time. It's giving it a bit of a haze. Okay, so yeah, great guitar riff. Super bass guitar exchange here. Another great solo by Buck Dharma, of course. And yeah, so and then there's a little bit of a different solo at the end of the song. I forgot about that. That's why I wrote it. Excellent solos. Okay, so then you get Flaming Telepaths, which is a really good song. On a lot of albums, this would be like a top 2 track. On this album, it's probably at the bottom. Go figure, right? The vocals are dominating. Eric is really good. It's another one. He also did the vocals on Harvest of Eyes, which I forgot to mention. A vocally dominated song. A nice guitar riff. Some really good keyboards on this solo and with the guitar and the bass in that. Yeah, I would say that the guitar on this is probably the best solo on the album. It's close. And then the final song, of course, most people will know if they're a Blue Oyster Cult, and I just can't seem to get rid of this haze today. I'm going to pull the whole thing in a little bit. I think it's just because it's getting hit from a funny angle. There, that's better. So I'll just back up a bit, and that should work. Yeah, that's much better. I'll have to remember that when I do more videos. See, I'm just at the edge of the window here, and I'm just getting a bit of a haze. Okay, so here we are. Astronomy, the last track on the album. So the album starts out with Career of Evil, my favorite song, and ends with Astronomy, probably my second favorite song. But Astronomy is coming on, so it could end up being my favorite track. It starts out with a nice solemn piano part at the beginning. This song is Eric singing. It's probably the best vocals on the album. Some good guitar leads and riffs here. Just overall a really memorable song. Not one that you would easily forget once you get to hear it. And then of course I've done all of the outtakes and the couple of songs that they added as single versions. So, just such a cool album. I know I've gone on about it, but I can't say enough about how good this album is. I'm trying to find the right angle here. Area. I just can't say enough about it. It's just like, if you're looking to start out in Blue Oyster Cult, pick this one. This one is so good. Yes, it doesn't have Don't Fear the Reaper, and it doesn't have Burnin' For You, but those are radio songs that have probably been burned out. But the rest of this stuff is so good. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Lighting aside, I will be getting a mic in the very near future to try and cut down on some of the feedback noise I'm getting, like a newer mic, so hopefully that will help with the sound as well. So it's all a little bit of progress at a time. My site has gone a little bit at a time, but I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing this video quite a bit today. Albums like this are the reason why I got into it. You find that one or two albums you've never heard before. I never heard this before, and so I was blown away with how good it was. And now because I've got a couple more Blue Oyster Cults waiting in the wings, I'm now excited to hear them as well, as once this one gets out of my playlist, and that's going to be a while since it's my favorite album on the playlist right now, and it's not even close to being pulled, so could be a bit, but I may put one of the other Blue Oyster Cults in at the same time. I sometimes do that if I'm really turned up about a certain band. So anyways, again, I hope you like it. Please like and please subscribe. It's much appreciated. And I will be back next week on Monday night with another look back at a classic rock album. So you take care, and we will see you then. Bye.